I'm gonna use just sort of this size brush. And okay, so Mother's Day is coming up. We all kind of have some time on our hands. A lot of us do because of what's happening in the world. And maybe we can sort of turn that into something positive for the person who, you know, gave us life. So they're kind of, let's see, they kind of go like this. Okay. My mom kind of showed me, she's actually really good at drawing horses, so it's actually kind of funny. But I'm like, hey, here's this horse that you can draw better than me. Happy Mother's Day. But you know, I think it's a good excuse to let them know you're thinking about them and take a second and relax. Cross hatching is obviously, or maybe not obviously, just, I would use a finer brush than this. This is gonna look a little ridiculous. Use a finer brush, but cross hatching is like this. Stippling is where you do little tiny dots. Okay, I can't even keep that. Okay, so like I said, we make mistakes with it. We feel ridiculous. It ends up looking like a child did it anyway, but we're having fun. Right? Okay. So, mistake, feeling embarrassed about it, video's not working out, but it's gonna turn into like a silhouette of a horse instead. You can look up those techniques and people on the internet will show you how to do them much better than I am apparently able to. So, I'm going to try to raise this up. Okay, if I hold it like that, and I ruined the ear. Okay. So, okay, that's one thing I do to sort of correct a mistake. With watercolor, if you sort of take your finger and just sort of smudge it back immediately, you can kind of erase it. You can't really erase with watercolor, but you can sort of try to correct it just enough and then reinterpret that movement. Oh god, it's turning into a donkey. Sort of reinterpret it so that it sort of works. I don't like that ear at all. I think their ears might go a little more forward, actually. Do they? I don't know. Maybe I need to watch a tutorial on how to paint. Good God. You know what? Okay. This is an example of something I'm struggling with and not getting frustrated with so successfully. By the way, shout out to the person on Etsy who made this shirt. I will put their name in the description unless I forget, but it's a shirt that helps support rescue dog efforts. So it says "Give me shelter" and there's a cute dog on it. It was like $5 with a few bucks for shipping, and I highly suggest you check them out if you're an animal person. So, okay, this is where we are so far. Our kind of ridiculous looking horse. I've made a shape that I'm a little bit more happy with. It looks sort of like a dog. I would probably widen this part here. I've been drawing dogs a lot, so I think I might even just turn it into a dog, to be honest. Because it doesn't look like a horse, because horses are more challenging for me. So I think that's part of the most important part about trying to do art, is that you roll with the mistakes. You don't just, it doesn't look like a horse, I hate it, I'm done. So now I have the bulk of it. I'm going to try to add a bit more flair. Oops. Which for me, that's often a lot of swirls. And then I don't love how this is dark here, this is dark here, and there's just sort of this weird hard outline. However, if I were to say, okay, the light source is kind of shining this way, then it makes sense for there to be more light here. If the light is shining from this direction, down on the back of the dog, this doesn't make so much sense here for this to be darker, but it does make sense over here. So I think I'm gonna try to roll with making this a little bit, just making it a little more consistent. And then doing texture, just sort of smushing in the brush because it's a cheap brush. Just pushing it and trying to add texture to make it look like fur. Adding more water. Okay, adding more water, grabbing more paint, squishing that around. You might already know, but with watercolor, the less water you add, the darker and thicker your paint will be. The more water you add, it will be watery. I'm gonna add in a bit of orange, just to show, okay, the light source is coming over here, and what is a lighter shade of red, orange. Sweet. So I'm going to add in a bit more orange here, add more texture here, just keep doing that, like, squish the brush into it thing, and then I'll show you where we are from there. So I've started adding that orange with the big brush. It's either time to switch to a smaller brush to get the fine detail of the individual hairs, or you can, also just sort of do this, because finger painting, you're never too old for it. Never. And if you think you are, you're working too hard. Also, I think this might end up being part of where I do a paint splatter sort of effect, because it shows people that you don't care and adds an interesting look to things. This is really hard to do one-handed. Okay, adding more water, getting more paint, and splatter. Okay. Okay, I'm probably gonna switch to a smaller brush. I will describe what I do in a sec. Okay, so here I've tried to add some kind of big, blotchy effects to make it look more splattery, and I ended up not liking this. I think it looks kind of too heavy. So I'm gonna go ahead and just blend that in with the background. So I'm gonna sort of squish it and smear this around. And I need my other hand for it, but I'm going to do that, and then I think sort of fade that into a background thing that we will do. I have another mistake I need to reinterpret or improvise. I have added dark orange to the nose, some yellow along here, yellow to show there's more light here. Sort of define the ear a little bit, and then just smeared around and added detail to those random swirls. So I would say, unless you're looking at a reference photo of a dog, which is a really good idea, if you want to draw a dog that's a little more precise, unless you're going to do that, I recommend not adding in the eye. Just don't even do it, because eyes are, of course you can, feel free to go for it, but it's tricky to get the placement just right, and then you end up having sort of like a cartoony looking it looks more like a kid drawing, which, no diss to the young people out there, but I think you know what I mean. It looks less advanced than you would kind of want it to. So yeah, let's keep adding and forgive yourself for the mistakes, because that's the point of doing this. You know, is this going to end up in a museum? No. But it's something we can do to kind of be kind to ourselves and maybe make someone else smile. So, by the way, if you want to donate something to my Patreon, feel free. Also, I'm working on setting up an Etsy to try to start a nonprofit, but really, actually, I think the best thing you can do is just, if you like this, go find an artist on Etsy. Like, yeah, it'd be great if you supported me, and I'll link to that, but find some cause that you like. Like, for me, it was the shirt that I showed you, and just, like, give something to an artist, because a lot of us don't have jobs right now, and you know how it goes. Or just do something kind for someone else, if it moves you to do that. So, okay, where are we? I've added sort of a splotchy yellow background. And also share your feedback and let me know how the pacing of this video is, because I don't really know how to do this, in case you couldn't tell. So, splotchy background. And I think more or less I'm kind of happy with it for now. You can always leave it aside and come back to it. You'll notice that this is sort of not shaped like a card, in the sense that if we fold this down the middle, is gonna put a line through the face and kind of ruin that image. And I don't know if this is gonna work out, but what if we folded it in such a way that it made it smaller, but then when you opened it, it kind of added to the effect of the piece. So I'm gonna try to just sort of crease it so it kind of hugs the shape of the dog. So I'm gonna fold these corners in, here, and here. And I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest, but just sort of, it doesn't have to be perfect, but do it in a way that is, it makes it more compact. Maybe you can put it in an envelope, and yeah, it'll be great. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll find out. These are the lines I've made so far, to give you an idea. That's what it looks like on the back so far. And the front, so you can kind of tell, like, when we unfold it, it'll still look a little artsy. And then, hang on. Okay, so that conceivably could be stuffed into an envelope. It's, like, hand size, roughly. Oops. So, it's not perfect. It's squishy. It doesn't need to be wonderful and amazing. But then you have all this space to sort of write something. And that's going to be the most important part, is just saying, hey, thanks for giving me life, because life doesn't suck all the time, so thank you. Or whoever that is in your life, you know, it doesn't always have to be like a biological mom. There are a lot of, you know, it could be a teacher, or it could be a neighbor, or even just give it to yourself if you don't have anyone around this time. Which, you know, there's always someone you can give something to. You could just go leave it on someone's front porch. You know, you could just say hi. Hi, fellow human. I'm glad that you're here, and I hope you have a good day.